Hey, welcome to my Warframes, Where They Are Now series, a little series I've had brewing in the back of my mind since the early days of Warframe, quote-unquote. I'm going to put this little intro at the beginning of every video in this series. If you've heard this once or more, feel free to skip it. This is just my opinion and is not guaranteed to be fact. Remember, with Warframe, everyone plays at least a little different from each other. That's why there's 52 frames as of making this intro, of course. That being said, I do plan on being as objective as I can with this series. But bias will always be a potential problem, and will definitely shine through in certain episodes, if not all. Now, that being said, I hope you enjoy the series. It's Sunday, March 26, 2023. I'm noting the date and time because, knowing my luck, 5 seconds after my video launches, they'll announce a rework. Today's frame is Excalibur. I'm going to be going in order of frame release to the best of my ability. While there were 8 that were available on game release, if I'm not mistaken, Excalibur is definitively the first, thanks to its inspiration from Dark Sector, DE's previous game. We're going to be working with Excalibur Umbra on this video since it's the most powerful version of Excal the average person has access to. Debatably the best outright. Unfortunately, I don't have Excal Prime since I didn't have a job back when the Founders Packs were a thing, since I was too young to get one. So I can't say one way or the other which is more powerful. But I digress. Most people can get Umbra anyway, whereas other people cannot get Excalibur Prime. Umbra is fucking cool, period, point blank. When you step out of your frame, he actually goes around and kills things for you like a second companion. Except this companion is a Dax soldier with an Exalted Blade and a screen. Let's get on with it, shall we? Umbra's passive reads as, Umbra exhibits sentience in combat without transference control. Attacks 10% faster and deals 10% more damage while wielding swords. I'll be honest, I hardly noticed the 10% buff since I run a Nikanaza with high speed and crit. But it's better than nothing, and definitely better than a lot of passives elsewhere. Looking at you, Mag. Alright, the first ability is Slash Dash. Don't know what it is about it, but I find that name kinda cheesy. Anyway, Slash Dash is listed as slash and dash through your enemies alongside a Radial Spectre. The powerful Exalted Blade's slashes inflict bleed status. The range on this ability is actually quite good, and the new chaining from the rework is awesome. I used to have the ability Helmet the Way because I just didn't use it pre-rework, but now it's quite nice. I no longer need to mash the A button like that 6-year-old on Xbox claimed to have mashed your mom. With a base range of 20 meters and a chain range of 7 meters, I feel it's unnecessary for range mods on this ability, which is a good thing, and you'll see why soon enough. His second ability is Radial Howl. Umbra remembers he used to work for Ballast, and now he has a kid inside of him and reacts accordingly by screaming hard enough to stun enemies and strip sentience of their armor. With a base range of 25 meters, again, I don't really feel a need for range mods. I mean, you can, but in most situations you're going to have to go find the enemies that were a ways away and are still stunned from Umbra's pain and frustration. Overall, a great ability. Back when I got Umbra, and I did that mission where you had to retrieve the railjack parts, and let me tell you, Umbra's Howl is the only reason I made it through as early as I did. Resetting the Angry Chopstick Squad's resistances is no joke, if they're present anyway. As for his third ability, Radial Javelin, Umbra stabs the ground so hard the enemies in the room also get stabbed, taking impact, slash, and puncture damage and receiving guaranteed bleed status from said slash damage. With a range of 25 meters, I could see an argument for buffing the range for DPS, but frankly, his ability is the one I helmet off. I know many would disagree with me, but hear me out. I like Warcry on him better, and how could I not? It gives him a second scream and it increases his allies' attack speed while slowing enemies. This includes himself, of course. It turns his Exalted Blade from a pretty strong sword into a fucking astrologer from Elden Ring. Glintstone Arc for the win. Jokes aside, I could definitely see an argument for keeping Javelin, but it's just not what I need on mine, since I run Chromatic Blade anyway. Speaking of which, his fourth ability, Exalted Blade. Umbra draws his secret sword that I'd rather not know where he keeps, and goes to town on the enemies with waves of energy. And because it's an exalted weapon, it can be modded with the typical melee mods, but no combo count mods because fuck you, I guess. In all seriousness, I do get it because even without Blood Rush, I'm still leaving nothing alive on Steel Path, so it's not really necessary. All that being said, where does the old man lie nowadays? Well, he's quite powerful, and I don't use him too often, but he does still have a place. Frankly, I'd put him towards high A or low S, leaning more towards the S side of things on the tier list. I do find it kinda nuts that the first frame is still this good. Kinda gives me hope for rework for a couple frames that desperately need it. With that, onto my build. As you can see, I do still run Umbral mods. Aside from that, I've built for strength and duration, and I run Chromatic Blade. If you plan on running Exalted Blade, you gotta find a way to squeeze that augment on there. It does so much to making it so much more powerful. I don't have any shards on him yet, but I think I'd probably run some more duration and melee crit chance. I mean, if there was a frame to do melee crit chance, it's gotta be him, yeah? As for what I use Excalibur for these days, well, I can't think of anything in particular where I'm like, ah, yes, Excalibur, obviously. But I can only think of one thing where it'd be dumb to run him. Eidolons. Though I do have a friend that does run him for that, and does decently well, so what do I know? More often than not, I run him because I want to run my Tenno specifically. And to be completely honest, that's not entirely a bad thing, because he's the only frame I could think of for that exact purpose. I do hope we get more Adventures of the Old Man and the Space Child in the future. I think I've said all I need to say on this topic, speaking of which. So, thank you for watching, and have a great day.